Lewis is not the youngest the youngest guy in the room either. I mean,
he's 50-something.
You know, I'm 39, and I'm probably one of the younger people that's out there actually, you know, having an interest in all this. And you're absolutely right. You know.
Well, now, you know, there's this executive committee of the Cherokee Nation being reactivated, I guess, or activated because of Harry Truman's, recognition in 1848. That's the only hope I see in the future for the Cherokee people. Now, the Saponi people, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen to you guys. But we do have some federal recognition, but it fell by the wayside in 1971 when the CNO was formed. You know, so yet it's still on the books. You know, hasn't been canceled or abrogated, which can only be done by the Congress of the United States or the President. You know. But Harry Truman recognized that all the Cherokee people, even off the reservations, it says right in the law, you know. So, you know, that's our only hope, and that's a slim one.
So you were saying that the traditional communities will dwindle even more in the future, and our rights as Native Americans will also dwindle along with that.
Well, who teaches the next generation? Who teaches the other 7 generations that we're supposed to be able to teach? I'm 72. I've tried to teach my custom and tradition that I was taught by my grandmother to my grandchildren. I have one that understands it out of 15. One wants to understand and learn. I have 15 grandchildren. One.
And so it's a small percentage of the youth that are taking it up.
Very small, yeah. That's just in my family, you know. How about the other families? Same way, you know. The pursuit of the dollar bill has taken over this country. There are no more mothers in the house. The dads are 50% of them are out of the house and gone, leaving grandparents to raise the kids. I know. I have 2 of them. I have 2 grandchildren I'm raising, me and my wife. Of course, Mark died. He couldn't help that. But in our school zone here, Scott, 40% of the children going to my grandchildren's school are being raised by grandparents. Parents are gone, in jail, divorced, you name it. On drugs, yeah. 40% of the kids being raised by grandparents.
And so there's not a whole lot of time to pass these traditions on under these harsh circumstances.
Hey, I don't know about Texas, but up here in Ohio, it's what we call hog scrabble. You better get what you can. If you can get a pot of beans, you better get a pot of beans. You know, and it's a ongoing process. I believe all over the country.
I think we're coming into very shortly here, and I've discussed this with others over the phone. This will probably be the first time I've said it in an interview. But you know, we're undergoing what I call an information wave. That is, there's a lot of information that's coming forward from all different walks of life and aspects of life, whether you're talking about Native American politics or regular politics and history and whatnot. And this information wave, as I call it, I think is starting to enlighten people. It's starting to wake people up to the realities that surround us.
Yeah.
And of course, we have the economic crisis that we're in right now, and you know, a lot of what we do is so hardwired, tied into our economic circumstance. If we're having to spend 8 to 12 hours a day working, then we don't have a whole lot of time for researching our people, getting the word out, and etc. And so a lot of what's going on is tied with the greater society, and I think we're really coming up on those Indian prophecies that talk about the change in the world, going from one world to another world, and it's really not looking all that bright and hopeful. But you know what? I always keep a spark of hope for the future, because I know that through the power of prayer and perseverance and hard work, we can make a future for our families.
I agree with that, yeah.
We can make a future for our native communities. And you know what? We'll probably never end the wannabe hunter banter. We'll probably never end these people like CNO who are always trying to wrangle around and destroy other Indian tribes.
Always. Indians hate Indians, yes.
But what we can do is we can educate people about what's going on, and we can hold on to our traditions and prayers and pass it on to those who will listen and take that up.
I have a meeting once a month with our group, okay? You need more, but they live in so many different areas, Kentucky, Ohio, that it's difficult for everybody to get together, okay? Very difficult. Gasoline being almost $4 up here a gallon. But I have about 4 hours a month to teach our custom and tradition. That's about as long as I can hack it right now. I'm not in the best of health, but I try to do what I'm supposed to do, is to teach our custom and tradition. That's what the principal chief's main job is. Even though there's a Chiefs Act by Congress that I'm an illegal chief, but not to my people I'm not, And if they come and get me, they come and get me, okay. What we say here, Scott, is got to have three hots in a cot. 3 hot meals and some place to lay down to sleep at night, So, at 72 years of age, what else do I need? Okay.
We have to persist like our ancestors did, and things were even probably worse for a lot of our ancestors in the past, because they couldn't be open about their Indian heritage. They couldn't.
Oh no. Yeah.
They couldn't say, we practice our Indian religion, because it was outlawed for a long time, and it still kind of is, because according to the Eagle Feather Law, we have to be federally recognized in order to have our religion.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But we will always remain here. There will always be some remnant of our people here, of our peoples here, whether Cherokee, Saponi, Shawnee, whatever tribe that's out there. There will always be a part that survives. And
like Bloody Fellow says, back when he was writing down his life story, I guess you got to say, that our blood will never be finished. We just, spread it out more, and we all became our culture,
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Peasqua. That was his Cherokee name. But and no matter what, see, supposed to go to The Hague in 2007, to speak about the genocide being performed by our government. I got shut down real quick.
Now, who did that?
The IRS, the Attorney General of the State of Ohio, Florida County Sheriff's Department.
They said that you couldn't go, or what?
They just took all of the money and all of the availability of resources away.
Okay, so they took your ability to have access to do that.
Yeah. And it wasn't a secret. That was when what was her name, Irma? Katua Red Elk. That's what she called herself anyway. And she had a card from the Sioux Reservation that says she was an Indian attorney. I think she made it up herself. But.
Yeah, actually, I know who you're talking about. And
you do?
Yes, I do, because there's controversy going up there on the reservation as we're speaking. I mean, this is a woman who, and I'll confirm this, but if it's the same woman that Joanne Spotted Bear's been posting about and talking about, she's been taking a lot of money from the tribe. She was terminated. Her position was terminated, and then she ended up coming back, I think, after an election cycle, and is doing some of her same shenanigans again.
Yeah, they never learn.
No, I'm just hoping and praying that through prayer and education that we can wake people up enough to confront these wrongs.
You're right. Yeah.
That are happening and change them. I don't like any of this stuff. I don't like politics. I don't like the confrontation either. It's upsetting. It raises my blood pressure, and I know it's not good for my health.
Mine either.
Yeah, for anyone. But none of these atrocities can be reconciled with wisdom, justice, and love. And we have to hold these people accountable in some way, even if it's some small way, like not attending their powwows and not giving them the money out of our pocket.
Oh, I haven't attended one of their powwows in 20 years. When I found out what they were up to, I stopped and I counseled all of our members down here and Louis Bowling's group, and Barbara's group in Thornville, and not to go there and give them money, because that's all they want. The vendors have to pay the Indian Center money to get this set up. Well, you have to pay to park. You have to pay to get in the circle area. So no, I ain't going. No way.
Yeah, they just want everybody's money and to treat them like crap.
That's what they do. Yeah. One of my members, I send one out every once in a while to get a little information. You got to do that. And he came back and said the powwow at Sunwatch down in Cincinnati, Ohio, was very, very poorly attended. They had 10 vendors. They didn't have any grand parade. They didn't have the Veterans Recognition dance. Nothing like that. Nothing like a powwow has been run in the past anyway. No drum, no singers, nothing.
Yeah, we have a cousin, Lori Tabor, that went to that one just recently, and she was talking with one of the organizers, and they said that the reason why the powwow was in the state that it was in is because of Guy Jones.
Exactly.
And all of these fighting about how things should be run.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that old saying about there's too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Yeah.
You know, being a chief, being someone in charge is not an easy task.
No, it isn't.
It is very, very difficult. It is fraught with all kinds of stress.
Yeah.
And it's not a desirable position at all. And for people to run around wanting to have that title and then actually doing nothing but to destroy the Native community makes a mockery of every drop of Indian blood in this country.
Absolutely true. Yeah. Well, look, if you're the leader of your little group or your little band or your little nation, and you're the real leader now, and you really do the job, you have to face things like knives, clubs, shotguns, and you have to actually face them down or get killed. You know, that's what you have to do. And you have to go to Congress and testify on the NAGPRA situation, which I have done. And you have to go to the state of Ohio legislature, scream and holler for recognition, which never is ever going to happen. Now I hear that we've raised so much havoc with the NAGPRA board that they're going to change, or has changed, the recognition of human remains to include the non-federally recognized people, the prehistoric people. So that, the Ohio Historical Society has over 6,000 boxes of human remains in a warehouse in Columbus, Ohio. 6,000. Okay?
Right.
We want them reburied. Yeah. Well, they're part of the Ohio Historical Society's money resource.
Holdings.
Yeah.
They own those bones, or so they say.
Yeah, they own them because they're prehistoric. NAGPRA hits the historic bones, and I guess they might be all gone. I don't know, but they got 6,000 left. And change, 6,000 and change. I don't know exactly. Barbara could date to the very amount, and we don't ever get them back because they're part of the Ohio Historical Society's bottom line. They're worth so much money. They trade with other museums. They trade with other archaeological societies, private museums, all kinds of things with our ancestors.
The bones of our ancestors.
Yeah, that's what they did. Things like that goes on practically in every state. The federal government has, the last count I had was over 2,000 from the Tennessee Valley Authority project down in Tennessee and North Carolina, when they put in all the power generating stations, flooded all the Cherokee land. Yeah. Yep. See, we know all these things, but they don't do us any good. Because we're not fairly recognized.
Have you ever had any dealings with the Kwasne?
I missed that. What's called?
Have you ever had any dealings with a Kwasne?
No.
A Kwasne is kind of like the Iroquois version of AIM.
No. Well, I've been up to Bradford, up to the Six Nations. We were treated very well, you know.
Yeah, I hear that all the time, that the Six Nations always treats our people well. All of our people from Ohio and the Saponi especially, because of course, the Tutelo, part of them left the Tuscarora Reservation and went up and became part of the Longhouse under the Cayuga and Seneca.
Yeah.
But
the Cherokee did too.
Yeah. I mean, and I kind of look at the Longhouse as being a final haven or hope for all of our people, because I've heard some little incidents with the Kwasne. Like last year, I think someone got pulled over in Virginia and they were acting kind of weird, and so they ended up getting arrested because they wouldn't show their ID. But I've heard other negative things about a Kwasne, but you know what? I don't think I've heard enough about them to make any kind of final judgment about whether they're good or bad. I hope they're good, because God knows we need Native American organizations, whether it's AIM or Kwasne or whoever, to stop this corruption. And to, instead of focusing on sports mascots, for God's sake, how about focusing on supporting Native American people?
Yeah.
People that need help, people who are living in poverty and horrible conditions, and protecting our ancestors' bones, not from archaeologists, because it's not the archaeologists anymore that are doing this. It's people like Kenneth Irwin and people who are on a power trip, who are totally desecrating our ancestors.
That's true. Yeah. We have amateur archaeologists down here, in southern Ohio, that, they did it just, a couple weeks ago on a little tributary to the side of the river. Dug up a lot of stuff, but it was on private property. And we can't touch private property. We passed a law that said if it was on state-owned or city-owned or county-owned, whatever property, and they discovered remains of any kind, that they would have to be reburied. And you read it, once you find it, you can't dig any more there, whatever it was we were going to do, because it's a burial ground. And we got that law changed, put into the cemetery law in the state of Ohio. It didn't help a bit.
One of the things that I always talk about with people, and I've talked about this a little bit with Joanne Spotted Bear and a couple of others, is that I'm not an enemy of archaeology. I think that archaeologists have done a lot to preserve and bring forward information on our various tribes throughout North America. But the example, the really good example of how archaeologists should behave and act and operate is the University at Chapel Hill in North Carolina did an archaeological dig at Occoneechee Town, and it was a burial site, and they were extremely respectful. Some of the Occoneechee were attending, and when they were going to photograph some of the children's remains, the Occoneechee said, "No, you cannot photograph the children. We draw the line there." And the archaeologists from the university said, "Okay, we'll follow exactly what you tell us to do." And that is the example. All these others out there, if they're amateur archaeologists and they're students from a university, that's fine, but they need to follow certain guidelines to be respectful, because we all need to know our Native American history and past, and we need to know who was where, when, and what, so that we can, it helps educate everyone, not just the Native community, but it helps educate everyone about who our people were and where they lived and how they lived, and that's a good thing. But when they're keeping bones of our ancestors in boxes in dusty warehouses for years on end, that is a desecration. That is grave robbery.
They've been doing it since 1875 here in this state.
Oh yeah, they've been digging up Indian bones for ever since the white people came over here.
You're right.
But I always like to stress that the field of archaeology has been changing in the past few decades because of people like you and others who have brought concerns to their attention, and there is a respect that has grown around doing archaeological digs. Unfortunately, it sounds like some of these archaeologists there in Ohio, amateur or otherwise, have not decided to do the right thing and be respectful. And they should do that. They should be,
in my experience, Scott, none of them here in Ohio are respectful of our ancestors' remains. None of them. Because there was 47 bodies dug up off of the effigy bird mound, as a matter of fact, down here in Sutter County. And the archaeologists threw the bones up on the mound of dirt to get to the burial artifacts. My wife and I had to go. We went and bought boxes and bought aluminum foil, anything to keep the bones from dissolving any more than what they were, and packed them. And we made the archaeologists pack them up and put them in boxes so that they could be reburied eventually. And 16 months later, we reburied those 47 remains over at the Tallige Native American Cemetery that the county, the Sutter County Commissioners donated. They had some land that they weren't using, and it was an old cemetery anyway. And there was over 7,000 artifacts dug up. Over 7,000. Now that's from pipes to simple beads, necklaces. We had a list of them. We've never got one of those artifacts back. Not one.
Well, I want to thank you personally for doing that and for reburying those remains. That I wish that there were more people like you in the state of Ohio watching what was going on, because there's no telling how many remains have actually just been tossed to the trash heap.
Yeah. Well, down at Fernald Atomic Energy Plant down in Cincinnati, they were dismantling the plant, destroying it. The government was. They ran across a burial ground. Okay, when they was trying to get dirt to fill up some radioactive areas, and they ran across these 7 bodies. No federally recognized tribe, Kenny Irwin, Guy Jones, well, didn't want nothing to do with it because they weren't offered any money to do it. Now, Joe Shoemaker, the archaeologist, told me that. Now, finally, Joe Shoemaker went to the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma, the Katiwa, the North Carolina Band of Cherokees. He went to the Shawnee. He went to everybody that he could think of. Nobody wanted to do it because they wouldn't be paid. And from what Joe said, that's what they said to him.
Oh, that's
finally, it come down to the state people. And guess who did it? Yep. Tallige people.
And thank God that you did.
Well, we did it for free. We didn't charge anything.
And I don't understand why that people like Kenneth Irwin and these others are so respected whenever that's all they're about is the money. They're not about honoring the dead. And
I don't really think they're respected. I think they're bought.
Something's definitely connecting them with the whole Task Force Cherokee crowd and that whole movement. Well, I'm not really sure how broad and wide this network of people are.
Oh, there is one.
But certainly there is connection, and I don't know if that's AIM. Is it AIM? Is it?
I don't know about AIM. No.
Is it some cabal within?
That was the word I was going to use a while ago.
I don't know. I don't understand why they would be so motivated by money, because money comes and goes.
The Cherokee Nation will give you money and to do what they want you to do. The Katiwa will, I'm sure, and the North Carolina Cherokee will. I'm sure they buy people. I'm positive. There's too many
How are they getting their new cars and their new home repairs and stuff?
Yeah, all that. Yeah, so, they're being paid. Now, they're voting their pocketbook. That's what we call it up here. They vote their pocketbook. And while I can understand it, I don't understand it. I understand it as a modern-day citizen of the United States, but as a traditional citizen of the Anishinaabe, I don't understand it. So I'm even of a split brain on it. So,
it's just so hard it's hard to fathom the corruption when you're faced with it, because you don't understand what could possibly motivate these characters in such a way. I mean, greed. I understand greed. I understand power hunger, because we see it every day. But what I don't understand is that if people are Native Americans and they're going around touting their Native Americanness, and they're supposed to be spiritual people, how could they possibly reconcile their actions with wisdom, justice, and love? They can't.
They can't, no. Here's another example. They tried to buy me once, okay? I won't tell you how. I was contacted by a Indian. I don't know exactly what kind it was, but he said he was Native American, okay? Out of the Ohio State Penitentiary. So here in Lucasville, Ohio, it's just north of us, about 10 miles. And they wanted somebody to come and tell them about the culture that they're missing and all that, an information class. Well, I volunteered. I said, okay, I'll come out if you make sure you don't knock me in the head and take my pocket knife or whatever, facetiously, And I talked to the captain of the guard, the warden himself, and I got to teach, I think, 6 classes before the warden of the Ohio Penitentiary called me into his office and said, we would like to set this up permanently. I said, well, great, fine. Hey, I've done my job. I made them buy a drum. I made them buy pipes. I made them buy sweetgrass and sage and, the stuff to smudge with. And they wouldn't let me build a fire, but we could smudge with it if a guard was there, with that stuff. Well, they offered me $50 an hour to come out and teach general population about Native American culture. And I said, no. I had a big fight. They can't allow you to come back if you don't be on the payroll. I said, I'm a volunteer. You don't have to pay a volunteer.
They were setting you up.
They're setting me up.
Yeah, they wanted you to take payment so then they could say, see, he's a fraud because he's taking money to teach ceremony.
Yeah.
Yep.
I said no.
The setup.
Couldn't take it. I didn't. Well, right after that, the group I was teaching warned me there was going to be a riot. So, and there was, and a couple guys got killed, and a guard got killed. And I told one of our people was a guard in there, and I told him about it. I don't know what he did with it, but they made him cut his hair, and he quit. Paybacks.
Wow.
Easter Sunday it happened. Yeah.
And this happened just like within the past year or two?
Oh no, it's many years ago.
Many years ago.
Yeah, 15 years. But it's an ongoing process where they however many years ago it was, or I don't really remember.
Always trying to set you up.
Always
trying to do. Yeah.
Well, they finally made it. In 2007 they got me. I now have a misdemeanor on my record. Yeah, they finally got me. And my wife too. Nobody else in the nation got it, and there was, I think, 15 people working, all belonging to the nation, and nobody got it but me and Irma. We got it got 39 acres of land. And have you ever seen these round-to-let houses? They're built octagonal, actually.
Oh, yeah, I have seen those.
Well, there was two of them connected together with a little hallway that was on the property that we got. And we lost it all. We lost a $800,000 building. We lost a $125,000 piece of land. We lost $1 million.
And explain why the bingo hall was set up.
When we first started, we didn't know a darn thing about how to run a bingo game. So these professional volunteers came in, okay, and said they would teach us how to run it. And I'd only been to 4 bingo games in my entire life. I didn't know anything, really. I didn't know what a bingo looked like. And my wife didn't either.
And why were you trying to set up a bingo hall?
For the charity, for the church.
To raise money for the church?
Yeah. Okay. And they stole us blind. And we didn't know any different. We didn't know any better.
The volunteer professionals.
Yep. And then in 2006, the IRS came in to do an audit. Well, we followed them up until 2008, and that's when the SWAT team came in. Yeah.
And they were doing an audit on your 501?
Yeah. Yeah. Just on the bingo game. No, not on the church, but on the bingo game, which was really connected. Really.
Yeah, it's connected under your 501.
Yeah. Religious organization is what our charity was.
And churches are allowed to run bingo halls. Catholics do it all the time.
Oh yeah, it's perfectly legal up here, except were we guilty of it? Yeah, we were guilty, but we were one of those victim guilty people.
Yeah, and what were y'all guilty of?
What was it? What did they say was guilty? A gambling offense. A gaming offense. They didn't have any other term for it, but a gaming offense, according to ORC 1570 or something like that. It says you're not allowed to run a bingo game for profit.
So they were trying to say that you were running a bingo hall for profit.
Yeah, actually. Even though I proved to them that nothing in my bank account, nothing in Irma's or anybody else's in the group bank account received any money from the group.
And all the money went into the church's bank account?
Yes, it did.
How in the world did y'all get convicted if you had that as proof?
Because of the money stolen in 2001.
Oh, it was taken out by these people that had come in, that volunteered, and they were supposed to be professionals.
And supposed to be teaching us,
And what links did they have? Were they linked back to CNO, or?
Now that I do not know. All I know is that this one guy was taking notes and pictures and everything. We found out at the day of the raid, was taking pictures and taking names of everything he thought we did wrong. Yeah, they had an inside person. Now they sent down investigators.
Do you think that these volunteers were actually federal agents or people maybe working for the IRS or the BIA?
Well, I know they were being paid by the Ohio State Attorney General. That I know. The other people I do not know.
So you know that some of them were being paid by the State Attorney General of Ohio.
Yep.
See, I'm wondering if there might actually be a what do they call it?
Conspiracy.
Well, that, but also what do they call it when they entice people to break the law that they wouldn't normally break?
Yeah.
What do they call that? They call that
entrapment.
Entrapment. Yeah, entrapment.
Yeah.
It sounds like a case of entrapment, because if you have these volunteers that are coming in and keeping track of the books, and
they were stealing the money. Period. They weren't keeping track of the book.
So they weren't withdrawing it out of the... Were they withdrawing it out of the church's bank account?
No, they were stealing that right off the bingo floor. They would bring in games, like tip games, okay, that you could buy off of the suppliers and not have any record, just a cash sale. Well, I was in the tip room, and Irma was at the bingo counter, and we had some people running around calling off bingos and selling tips that were actually selling illegal games on our floor, and that's what they caught us on.
Ah, okay.
You know, with nothing with our books. No, it was what the money that they had taken from small games like Three Pigs in a Poke, weird little names that they have at these bingo games, and they would buy them off of the suppliers. There was 2 or 3 here in the state that would sell you games right off their truck, and with no record. No record taken or no record, just cash sale, you know. And they would bring them in and sell them on our floor. And we didn't know anything about it because we were too dumb and naive. We didn't know what we was doing until we finally caught on a little bit at a time what was happening and finally got it stopped. But it was too late, you know. They'd already done it.
So by the time you had taken action to stop it,
yep,
you got charged
already done
sometime after that, right?
Yeah. Once we learned how to do it, we stopped them, but it was too late. They got us on. We started September of '99, and they did it from 1999, 2000, and then into 2001. And they caught us on 2001.
So that sounds like another setup.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like you were set up for that.
Oh, I think so, too. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What was that black woman's investigator's name, Irma? Angel something or something Angel. She came in, huh? I know Angel, you know. I remember Angel and her sidekick. That's on the internet too. This guy that was working for the Attorney General's office just gave us a real bad report on the internet. You know, the things we were doing wrong, and we was going to be in trouble, and sure enough, we were. You know, already. You know. So that's the way they do. You know, I fought them and fought them and fought them. Every year when we applied for license, there was always something wrong. We fought them and fought them and fought them. And finally, they just said, "Okay, that's it." IRS and the Attorney General and Sheriff's Office. Yeah. We had hired the deputy sheriffs that came in to serve the search warrant. Yeah, the Attorney General of the state of Ohio does have no arrest powers whatsoever. And they got the sheriff's office and the judge to sign a search warrant for our place. Yeah, well, they found all the bingo stuff. They found money that we was counting because it was on count date and turned the money into the bank from the game. But the deputy sheriffs that came to serve it, we had hired them many times as security for the game. Many, many times.
And they never bothered to say, "Oh, you can't do that. That one's illegal."
No, never. I asked the Attorney General's office.
They probably didn't. The police that you had hired probably didn't even know themselves.
Well, they probably didn't, but the Attorney General did, because I've called up the Attorney General and said, "Hey, what do I do about this?" "Well, we're not allowed to tell you. Talk to your attorney." Well, my attorney didn't know anything about bingo either.
Was this? Did this happen around the time of the Abramoff scandal?
A little bit before. Yep.
See, I'm wondering if there was any kind of a tie-in with Abramoff with that.
I have no idea.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I wish that I was an investigative reporter as a profession, because I could probably find that information out. But God, y'all were just done so wrong.
Well, the Attorney General at that time in the state of Ohio got into trouble for misfeasance and malfeasance of office, and he had to retire. Well, he got fired, really. Governor Strickland fired him.
So the Attorney General that prosecuted you was in turn later on found to be he was guilty of malfeasance?
Sexual abuse and toadyism, favorite people getting a job.
Cronyism,
Yeah, cronyism, he would always corner some of the women in the Attorney General's office, I guess, and proceed to abuse them. And evidently, some of the women got really abused. You know what I mean.
Near rape. Or probably is outright rape.
Extorted rape, Either do this or you don't have a job. That's what was proven on him. That's the kind of people we got up here in Ohio.
Well, they're all over the country, and that's the scariest thing about this, is that there's so many corrupt people out there who, they're just crazy. These people are just absolutely, they're psychopaths. They don't have a conscience.
True.
You know what a megalomaniac is?
Oh, yeah.
Someone who they feel like they have to lead everything all the time and be the center of attention, and they lack no conscience. Usually megalomaniacs are also sociopaths.
True. Yeah.
And it's absolutely outrageous that the Native community allows these suckers to continue doing what they do.
They're scared. They're scared to death. Like my grandmother used to tell me, don't tell anybody you're an Indian or they'll move you to Oklahoma.
And who wants to go there?
Yeah.
Actually, parts of Oklahoma are quite beautiful.
I'm sure it is.
But the politics and most of the states probably all right. It's just that corner of northeast Oklahoma that seems to be the main problem.
Well, my man killer and her toadies. I knew well, she's dead now.
I used to respect her so much. She was a kind of a folk hero to me until just recently. After she died, I found out of all the shenanigans that she was pulling.
Yeah.
And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. This is the same kind of crap that Chad Smith does.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a new chief down here now, or president, whatever he calls himself, Chairman.
Baker. James Baker.
Something like that. I thought it was Bird.
No, it's Baker. He says that, or at least I'm being told now, that this Baker fellow is going to be more, positive towards state recognition, but I'll believe it when I see it.
Me too. Yeah. It's never going to happen. Not in Ohio, anyway. It's never going to. Well, one of the reasons why it's not going to happen here in Ohio is that from some of the budgets put out by the state is that there's always this line in them that says $4 million for Native American relief. But nobody ever gets any of the money. It's supposed to be for housing and 8A programs, that kind of thing. Nothing happens.
Yeah, I'd like to, I'd love to do some kind of a little public announcement commercial where they talk about that program. you just said, and then take a walk through Highland County in the Carmel community and say, where's all this $4 million and why are all these Indian people still living in tar paper shacks and don't have hardly any educational opportunities, and it's crazy. Where's all that money going?
Well, it goes into a slush fund or a rainy day account, and it never is used. It's still there. We have a heck of a rainy day fund up here in Ohio, but we have we're getting casinos now.
Yeah, I heard that the state finally passed that it was okay to open up casinos.
Yeah, 5 of them, and not Indian casinos.
Yeah, just publicly owned.
Yeah, well,
privately owned.
Privately owned, yeah. This guy from Las Vegas got the contract. He's supposed to be something of a bent-nosed boy himself.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah. From the people that researched him, it came out and said that all of the money from this certain casino disappears and shows up in this man's account, and I can't remember the guy's name now. It's public record; it can be found, because he swindled the casino.
Right.
And
well, maybe now that the state of Ohio has it legal to open up, that anybody can open up casinos, maybe these accusations that the Indians in Ohio just want to open a casino will finally come to an end.
Well, finally, I hope.
Let's hope. But I really want to thank you very, very much for doing this interview, because it's, there's a lot of people out there that need to hear from the Indian leaders in Ohio and across the country, and I try to persuade people to do interviews with me in order to educate everyone out there. There's a lot of misinformation out there about you in particular, and about the Tallige Cherokee in Ohio. And ever since I saw postings on Indians.com and powwows.com about you guys, I've been wanting to get more information, because I know that the people posting, they're wannabe hunters and they're very destructive. Yeah. And I wanted you to be able to get your story out straight from the horse's mouth and say and tell everybody what really happened.
I told you this down truth.
And you told me exactly what happened, and I believe you. There's been people that whenever I've asked them, do you know who Oliver Collins is? And they'll say, oh yeah, all this negative stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I tell them, you know what? I said, I'll call him back after I've talked to you, because I've talked to you once before, and I said, you know what? All that stuff that people have been saying about him, that's not true. He's a good man. Oliver Collins is a good man, and he's also related to us.
Thank you.
And he's, I've been saying this now for the past few months on Facebook and everywhere else that I can post it, that you have been ramrodded.
Oh yeah.
And people like Guy Jones, because you stood up to someone like him, they decided they were going to try to take you down and tear you down. Well, you know what? What comes around goes around.
And it's coming around now.
It's coming around. The pendulum, the truth pendulum, is being taken out of the box. It's swinging back in the direction it needs to, and the truth is going to be put out there.
I hope so.
The truth is going to be put out there. And thank you so much for interviewing and telling us.
Yeah, you're certainly welcome. Okay?
Well, I'm going to go ahead and
talk to you in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. I'm going to keep in touch with you, and you have a good day, and thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay.
Okay, bye-bye.
Good day.